Hello.
Hey,
The regular season is over.
done with.
Now, the teams who are kind of good at football are going to play against each other.
Some teams definitely good at football. Some of them,
Yeah.
not maybe all of them.
Yeah, well, there's two teams who have buys, but they're not
Mm-hmm.
playing this week. They're
No.
going to wait and play
Okay.
someone who wins this week. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Last week, how did we fare here?
Oh,
So I was 3-3 with, I did hit my two 3-star picks, which is good. And you were 1-2.
mm,
You hit your 2-star pick. So
yeah.
again, pretty, I don't know, abysmal week, kind of.
Well, par for the course for me.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, 500 isn't great either, but
Eh.
so nothing great. The early window was better, obviously, for
Mm,
me. Hit the Panthers, Jaguars, and Bears, and then the afternoon, not so great with my less confident ones, the Raiders, Niners, Chiefs. Always hard week 18 when you don't know what teams are going to put on the field. Obviously, the Chiefs lost 38-0. They weren't trying too hard. There's all these conspiracy theories about they didn't want the Bengals in the playoffs, so they made sure that they lost, which I don't know. I mean, you're resting. Oh, they only rested 7 starters to start the game. Well, do you know what resting almost half of your team does?
starters, yeah.
Completely changes like the dynamic, the communication, all like whatever. Okay, not such a great week. I thought there's only 6 games this week, so I thought we'd go back and just go through quickly. So at the beginning of the season, we kind of gave our predictions on over-unders for team wins.
Yeah.
So I went back through this earlier, and same thing. We kind of didn't do great. Well, about the same as we did last week. So
Yeah.
I had this figured out a little bit ago. Let me just
Mm,
go back through it. So 3-3, 4-4, 4-6, 6-6, 7-7. So on over under predictions,
mm.
which obviously is not great. You want to be over 50%. And then yours were, let's see, 1-1, 2-1, 2-2, 2-3. So out of five, 2-3. It's tough when you pick a lot of these. So like just real quickly, I thought the Bills would have a little bit of a down year if you remember, just losing Diggs and Allen not having as many weapons, but he just turned into beast mode
Yeah.
and has a chance to win the MVP. The Jets, like with Rodgers and what they had, you kind of thought they were going to do well, and they obviously didn't.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'm not going to go through all these, but basically, we were about 500 on our over under predictions.
Yeah.
All right.
Not great.
No, let's go to wild card weekend,
Ooh.
which starts. What do we got?
Tomorrow.
Two,
No, Saturday.
2 Saturday, 3 Sunday, one
And
Monday, right?
yeah.
Okay, let's get into it.
Mm.
So, first game, I believe, is Saturday at 3:30 Central Time. We have the Chargers at the Texans. I said Chargers by 3.
I had Texans -1.
Whoa.
Yeah.
It is
Chargers by 3.
it is 3. There is some 2.5.
Mm-hmm.
So I get that one.
Yeah.
I mean, the last 2 months, the Chargers have been the better team. I know it's on
Yeah.
the road. They've just been more consistent, and it's a playoff game. Like 3 just seemed right to me. Even though the Chargers are on the road, the Texans seem a little bit lifeless. Chargers have a good defense. I kind of trust Herbert. I think the coach is probably a little bit better. They're just more kind of, I don't know, consistent.
Mm.
So I think it makes sense. Don't really have an opinion. I mean, I obviously think the Chargers are going to win. Like the Texans, I don't know that anyone thinks they're really going to make a deep run, but or maybe their fan base does. That's about it.
They've not beaten good teams this year. Like they've beaten bad teams. but they've not beaten like good teams.
Do
I
they have
mean,
9 wins? What did they end up
they
with?
are 10 and
10.
7. Now they did beat the Bills, which is probably their best win, but like outside of that, like they lost to the Packers, they lost to the Lions, they lost to the Vikings, all three playoff teams. They lost to the Titans. They lost to the Chiefs, they lost to the Ravens. Who did this team beat? Who did the Texans beat to like be great?
Well, yeah, I mean,
Nobody.
their division
Nobody.
was the worst,
Worst.
worst, right?
Stinky worst.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jags,
Yeah.
Titans,
Close
Colts.
to
I
it.
mean,
Yeah. Jags and Titans. Titans were the worst team.
yeah, I don't know if there was another division where every team except the winner had a losing record. So,
Yeah. Fair.
um, I don't know. Like, I don't know what to say about this one. I do expect the Chargers to win. I just don't know by how many.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree. I think the Chargers are going to win. I picked the Texans just because playoff team, legacy, CJ Stroud. I think they had a similar record last year, and then they went on and um, didn't they beat somebody in the opening round of the playoffs, I thought, to get to Baltimore. They must have.
Texans,
Yeah,
they crushed the Browns,
that's
remember?
yeah, that was right.
It's like
Yes. Yeah,
40,
that was it.
51
Yes.
to something crazy.
Yeah. So they won their opening round and so and they were a middling team last year because they had to they only won the division in the last week. The Texans did last year, and it came down to beating the Colts. Had to beat the Colts to do it. And the fucking Jaguars were in the lead for the entirety of the year except for that last day.
That's right.
So I don't know. I felt some Texans love there because of that. That was clearly a mistake. I like the Chargers here too.
Yeah, maybe we'll do our bracket as we go through this
Yeah.
too. We might as well do it.
Yeah,
So
let's do.
we both like the Chargers
Yes.
here, right?
Yes, to win. Yeah. Yeah.
All
Not
right,
just
let's do it.
oh, they're the
Bracket style.
Chargers.
Okay, we both got the Chargers. All right, so let's go on. So Steelers limping in against the division rival Ravens. This is a
Huge line.
7 o'clock Saturday night
Yeah.
game. I said Ravens by 7.5.
I went the same.
Ooh.
Tie. Tie ball game.
And Vegas says
9.5.
9.5, a couple
9 times.
tens.
9 times.
That is a lot.
Many
for
points.
a playoff
Yes.
game. But I mean, the Ravens are the most complete team in the NFL at this point, in my opinion. Their defense, they said, has been the number one defense in some categories over the last, I don't know, how, like month or so, maybe 6 weeks. And then their offense, I mean, the numbers Lamar Jackson's putting up are insane.
Always great.
Like you compare him to his numbers from last year when he won the MVP, and they're like way better. So that'll be interesting to see if they give it to Allen or Jackson. But yeah, I mean, like the way teams are playing right now, I think Baltimore's the best now. Don't get that confused with, do I think they're gonna win the Super Bowl? Because the monkey on their back is beating the Chiefs when it matters, or beating any of these teams when it matters.
Right.
Basically, can they win 4 in a row when it matters? Be consistent. So that's obviously the question.
They are. I mean, they're a weird team. I mean, I think Lamar Jackson's an amazing player, 2 MVPs, but only 2 playoff victories in all his.
Oh, really?
Yeah, one of them last year against the Texans. That great defensive record that they've compiled over the last 5 weeks of the seasons against the Giants, Steelers, Texans, and Browns, coming off a pretty decisive loss to the Eagles in early December. So I don't know. Like this team has a lot of playoff animosity to overcome. Right? They need to win more than one game. I think they've struggled to do that. They've not had a lot of great playoff success. So I mean, I think certainly Ravens are the right call here. The Steelers haven't even a worse. They're coming into this game even worse than the Ravens, having lost 4 or 5 in a row.
Oh yeah, they're
4 in a row. Yeah.
4 in a row and 5 of 6, maybe something like that.
Against 3 playoffs teams and the Bengals, which potentially could have been a playoff team. The Steelers just didn't do very well against any of those teams. So, Yeah.
So you going Ravens
Yeah,
here
I mean, I
then?
like the Ravens. I don't think I think the Steelers are a broken team. They got so much out of almost nothing, and maybe they squeezed the last of the juice out of Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
I think he might be donezo.
So we're both picking the Ravens. I don't know how you couldn't at home the way they're playing and just the way Pittsburgh's playing. I, like at the in the same breath, like Pittsburgh has beaten them once.
Mm.
And like if there's any time where a team can just say, all right, erase the last month, let's see what we can do. Like we've beaten these guys. We know we can do it. I don't know. I think Pittsburgh's fairly healthy. I don't think they've really had a lot of injuries. They just haven't played well. To
Offense
me,
haven't been
when I
good.
watch them, I don't know if it's their offensive line or like their play calling, but like they should be more dynamic than they are. And it just seems like such a vanilla. It's like
Yeah,
short passes. Russell, he'll throw a lollipop that sometimes gets completed, but then they just run the ball and they punt more than anyone, and they just try to like keep the game low scoring. It's not an exciting brand of football, but
it's not winning football either, unfortunately, at this point.
yeah, I mean, Wilson's won a Super Bowl before. Like,
I've been to two.
you know, there's teams that could get hot and there's teams that couldn't get hot. And obviously, I don't expect the Steelers to get hot, but I think they have a better chance than like the Texans or Broncos or some of these other teams to at least make a little noise. Now,
Pedigree is better than
yeah,
for the Steelers than the Texans for sure. For
obviously,
coaching
yeah.
and quarterback, all of that. Yeah, for sure, for sure.
Um,
But they've not managed to score 20 points in the last four games.
that's a
13
lot of
points, 17.
points.
It is, but they couldn't do it. It's 13, 17, 10, and 17 again. Not very exciting. Not very
Yeah.
exciting at all.
Um, the one thing that's worth mentioning, so Zay Flowers had it would look like a bad knee injury. Now I
Mm.
think he's technically questionable. Like it must not have been as bad as they said, but you take out your number one receiver, obviously changes things a little bit. They have plenty of other weapons, but you
He
know,
is out.
okay, so Flowers is out. That matters a little bit. I don't like 10, 10 or 9.5, like in a playoff game. I guess I sort of get it, but isn't this just like one of those games where it kind of stays close and like Baltimore wins by a touchdown? Like, is it really going to be 10?
I
I
don't
don't
know.
know.
I think some of this is when they played the Ravens in like right before Christmas, they beat them by 17. So and the way that the Baltimore has, or excuse me, the Steelers have been trending in terms of their scoring, this kind of makes sense. But Baltimore is itself an up and down team, and does not always perform to potential in the playoffs. So you can't close the door completely, right? I mean, Tomlin is an excellent coach. He's been to the Super Bowl twice. He's never had a losing season ever in like 15 or 17 years, whatever it's been. So I don't think you can count them out completely, but there's just no question that the teams are trending in opposite directions.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so we're both going
Mhm.
Ravens. Just, I don't know. Like, I
I
can't
just I don't see like
pick a steel. The
what do
Steelers are
you
such an underdog.
what
Yeah,
do you point to them to say that no, it's definitely the Steelers are definitely going to win this game? I don't see anything.
right. All right, two down, four to go. Denver Broncos
Joes.
at the Bills.
Yes.
It is, I said it
Half across the
was
board.
Bills by 6.
I did Bills 7.5. You went up 7.5.
Ooh, you
Yeah,
got that one.
I did.
What did you say?
7.5. 8.5.
8.
Boots and a half.
Okay,
Hmm.
so uh, we each have one with a tie. This one, this is one of those like, if it was a regular season game, like I think this line makes more sense. I just thought they would go lower. The number 6 always kind of sticks out to me because like if it goes to overtime and the team that was favored scores a touchdown, then it's 6.
Mhm.
So this kind of seemed like one of those games where the Bills definitely should win, but I could see Denver keeping it close. So that's why I kind of went 6. Obviously, it's higher than that, and I guess the a key thing for me, I don't think Denver runs the ball that well compared to most teams. And the way you can beat Buffalo is you can run the ball because they've given up. I think they're one of the bottom 5 or 10 rush defense teams in the NFL. So like ball control, long drives, run the ball. Obviously, keep the ball out of Josh Allen's hands is kind of the key. Denver hasn't always done that the greatest. They do have 3 different running backs that they put in with McLaughlin, Estime, and Williams, but I I don't know. Like I just don't know if they I don't think it's a great matchup for Denver, and maybe that's why this is a little higher. You've got a rookie quarterback on the road in Buffalo against a Buffalo team who's playoff games, won a playoff game pretty much every year for the last 4 years, something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know. Again, here, like I think the Bills win. I don't know. If it's I don't know if it's by more than 8.5, but I am gonna pick them in my bracket.
I mean, I don't know how you don't go Buffalo here. Just like maybe the Broncos defense has been very good all year. Their offense has, I think, surprised a ton of people. I think that what Bo Nix has been able to do, what Bo Nix and Sean Payton have been able to do, have surprised a lot of people this year. Um, I don't see how you pick a rookie quarterback going on the road to beat what has been Josh Allen, like a career for Josh Allen and probably an MVP level season. I just don't see it. I don't know if they cover 8.5, but I don't see the Bills losing this. I just don't.
Right.
I,
Yeah, I don't either. Like if
like barring injury, right?
when the game's over, if they're interviewing Nick says like he won this game or like they won this game in Buffalo, like beat a team that's knows how to win in the playoffs,
Mhm.
I'll just be very surprised. So I'm definitely think Buffalo wins this game,
Yep.
and I don't know, fair enough line where I don't have really a prediction.
No, I mean, so for the record, Josh Allen's playoff record is 5-5. So that's not terrible, you
Well,
know,
I mean, so
in
just
5 playoff
on
games.
that, if you have an above 500 playoff record, it usually means you're like winning Super Bowls or you've won a
Hmm.
Super Bowl
Hmm.
because if you think about it, you either win the Super Bowl or you have at least one loss,
Hmm.
right, in the playoffs. So
Hmm.
not many like 5-5 you might think is bad. 5-5 is really
Oh,
good
no,
compared to like,
no.
oh no, I'm not saying
Yeah,
you. I'm
yeah.
saying like
Oh,
when
yeah,
you
yeah.
think about it, it's like,
Yeah,
oh,
for sure,
five
for
and
sure.
five, you got to win more
Yeah,
games than you lose. Well,
right. I think winning for Lamar Jackson, I think for winning just that to me is a sort of a bigger indictment. His playoff record, I think,
right.
is verging on problematic. I think if you sit at 500 for your career and playoff victories, I think that's amazing. I was listening to sports radio, local sports radio for some reason recently because the Bears coaching search, and they were talking about McCarthy and Tomlin and how I think most people would say Tomlin's the far better coach, but if you look at the numbers, they have a very similar number of playoff record victories and losses. They have both have one Super Bowl. McCarthy has more champion or conference championship appearances, but Tomlin has more Super Bowl appearances. They're very similar, but both their playoff records are right around 500, right? Like right around 500. And I think at least if you're talking about Tomlin, most people would say he's one of the best coaches right now. So
Yeah, for
nothing wrong
sure.
with a
Yeah, that
500
is
playoff
interesting.
record. Yeah.
And you want McCarthy as the Bears coach, right?
No, like even listening to that, am I going? I can't believe McCarthy is like this, like compares this favorably to Tom, and he beat Tomlin in a Super Bowl. I mean, if you could have, if they were offering those two coaches as a choice, and they said you had to pick one, I mean, it's Tomlin all day, right? Like, I don't like. Do you
I
disagree?
agree. No, I agree. I just saw that the Bears were seeking an interview with McCarthy, and I knew that when you saw that, you'd be
God,
not so pleased.
they're interviewing half the planet for this job.
I know.
And there's like two or three names that like has never been spoken like all season, like except on local sports radio. Like with teams that did not have outstanding like defenses or offenses, but the Bears got them on their list.
I know. I like
It's
it.
Eberflusian is what it
They're
is.
looking for some like magic or sorcery. Like, hey, do you have like any magic that you can do so we could just like
They
be
don't know
good
what they're
without
looking for.
trying?
Yeah, that's it. That is it. They don't know what they're looking for. They just don't. And I think that's the huge problem. They couldn't find it if somebody put it in their hands and told them what it was. That's a problem.
Yeah. All right,
Okay,
let's go. We
sorry.
got
Yeah.
three left.
Woo!
Packers Eagles is what? That's Sunday
Sunday, Sunday, Sunday.
afternoon. So the Broncos Bills is Sunday at noon Central, and then the
Mm-hmm.
Packers Eagles is the next game. I said Eagles by 5.5.
Oh shoot, we're doing this now. I did the Eagles by 4.
Oh, did you get that one? It's 4.5. So
4.5.
you got it
Yeah,
just barely.
just barely. I was on the Ringer today and I was looking at their predictions, and somebody did have them who had the Packers winning the Super Bowl, and I thought that was a bold choice.
Huh. I
Bold
mean,
choice.
I don't see that. I do think they have a good chance of winning this game. Um, Couple reasons. So it's a little bit of a payback game. So this was the very first game of the whole season in
Yes.
Brazil
Yes.
on that. Or wait, is that how it went? Was
Yes.
that Friday game before the first Thursday game?
Yes.
Like a
No,
full week?
no, it couldn't have been because the Thursday game is always the kick, always the start of the season.
Okay. So this was that next. That's right. There, it was the
Yes.
next day. Anyway, it
Yeah.
was the second game of the season.
Yes.
So Packers and Eagles, it was very close,
Hmm.
and Eagles won by like 5 or
Yeah,
something
it
like
was
that.
34-29. And then Love got hurt too in that game,
Oh yeah,
right?
that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he was
So
out for a
that
few weeks.
mattered.
Yeah.
Also, Philadelphia rested a lot of their starters. Hertz hasn't played a meaningful snap in a month
Mm-mm.
because he's been hurt
Concussion.
slash resting.
Yeah.
So, like if there's any question on if a team's going to be rusty at all, like going against the Packers probably isn't the team you want to be rusty against. You get behind them and Jacob starts running the ball, and Jordan Love can be clutch and can like win a game. Like
Yeah.
it's sort of a recipe for an upset, I think. The line, I mean, it's only 4.5. Like some people would say, the Eagles have been the better team pretty much all
Mm.
year. It should be higher than that. So I'm gonna go. I think the Packers. I think they win the game, but
Oh wow.
I'll give a 3 star on plus 4.5.
I shouldn't go all chalk here. I'm gonna go with the Eagles. Fuck the Packers, excuse my language. But they're entering into the playoffs on a 2-game losing streak. And they kind of wanted to win. I don't think they wanted to lose to the Bears. It's not like they were resting starters, right? They did have some positional stuff at play. They could have been the 6th seed potentially. Um,
They did say that Love would have gone right back in if it
yes,
was a
for
playoff
the
game.
serious game. That's right. So I don't know. People love the Packers. People love LaFleur. I think he's a great coach. I think Love is a good quarterback. I don't think the Packers have been as good this year as maybe they were last year. And I think there is definitely some of what they did last year to Dallas in the playoffs feeding into this. They just beat the shit out of them. And then they had a really great game against the Niners last year. It was like a really good game. It was within reach for them to have upset them in the divisional round. Obviously, they didn't, and the Niners went to the Super Bowl. Um, but I like the Eagles here. I don't foresee the Packers being upsetting the Eagles. Maybe a close game, but give me the Eagles here.
All right.
Chalk, chalk,
Well,
chalk.
this is just on a whim. I haven't really thought about this too much,
Hmm.
but I'm just trying to think how many of the NFC playoff teams have the Eagles beaten
Oh,
and been beaten by. So
that's a good
they beat the
question.
Packers by 5. It's a close game. They split with the Commanders. I don't know if they played the Bucks, but the Bucks are the ones who knocked them out last year.
They did play the Bucks, I think, didn't they? Didn't they lose to the Bucks? Yeah, they did. They lost to the Bucks early in the season in
This
September.
year.
Yeah, 33-16.
Okay. And then they didn't play the Vikings, and I'm pretty sure they beat the Rams. So if you look at, and they didn't play the
They
Lions. So
did. They
like,
beat the Rams 37-20. So it was convincingly they beat them. They beat the Steelers. They lost recently to the Commanders. And then they killed the Cowboys, beat the Giants handily. Yeah, lost to the Bucks. The Bucks have beat everybody.
yeah, so if they, let's just say, so well, we'll get into the whole
Mm,
how the
Bucks. Yeah.
bracket would
Yep.
play out,
Yep.
but so if the Eagles win, they would, if and everything else goes chalk, they would play the 3, who is what, Tampa,
Yeah, that's
and they've
Bucks.
already lost to them.
Yep.
Granted, it would be a home game, but it's interesting.
Yeah.
If you look at who Philadelphia's played, they did avoid a lot of the best teams in football. They didn't have to play them.
Hmm.
Um, you wonder how that's going to matter. I mean, no one really knows. They did dominate
Hmm.
most teams they played, so who really knows? But just interesting to kind of point that out.
Yeah.
Whereas like the Bills, um, they beat the Chiefs already, right?
Beat the
I don't know.
Lions.
Yeah, they beat the Lions. So, some of these teams have played some of these better teams and some of them haven't. But
Yep.
let's get to the Commanders at the Bucks.
You.
I said three.
Oh, I did too. We got the same Z's.
Uh, Maybe the easiest one to guess in
Yeah.
all of sports history.
Yeah.
So you're up 2-1 with one left. Yeah, I mean, Commanders Bucks. Like, it's three for the home team. Like, I don't know, no surprises. I guess maybe the tendency is going to be people saying, okay, the Bucks have a little bit of experience lately in the playoffs. They've won games. They should cover three. I don't know. I think it's fair. I think it could be a very good game. Um, yeah,
I mean, and they lost to the Bucks in the opening game of the season.
that's right. They got smashed, right? 17.
37-20. Yeah. Yep,
Right.
that's right.
So I don't know if that's a matchup thing. I mean, that was Jaden Daniels' very first game, right?
Yes, it was. But they have lost to all of the best teams they've played. Lost to the Bucks, lost to the Ravens, lost to the Steelers, lost to the Eagles.
They did beat the Eagles once, but
They did. And that
Hurts
that did
got
come
hurt
later. Yes.
in
And
that
it was
game.
close. It's 36-33. This was more recent. Um, but yeah, so not great. And then the Bucks, man, they beat the Eagles, they beat the Lions. Um,
Yeah, in Detroit.
yes, which was just crazy. They beat what did I say? They beat the Commanders. They did lose to the Chiefs in overtime. The Buccaneers. Who else did they beat? That's
That's
good. They
right. And
beat the Chargers.
I think the Bucks were banged up when they played the Chiefs
Yeah,
too.
yeah, that was part of during their losing streak. Yeah, that was during their 4-game losing streak, where they lost to the Ravens, the Falcons, Chiefs, and the Niners. I mean, they have beaten the best teams, right? They have played the best teams pretty much, and they've beaten some of them, which you can't say to all the playoff field. I'm gonna take the Bucks. I don't know how you don't like the Bucks here.
Bucks to win.
Yeah,
All right. So we both think they're going to win.
yeah.
Let's go on to the last game. My Vikings with 14 wins get to travel to the Rams, who have what, 10?
Yeah,
They got to change that.
yeah.
Anyway, so I have the Rams by 1.5.
And I have the Vikings giving 2.5.
You win the week.
It's
What
been a
is it?
long time for that. It's been a
It's
long time.
one. So it's
Yeah,
Vikings by 1.
yeah,
So you are definitely closer. All right. I I don't know. Like just after the way last week played out with everyone watching
yep,
and the
yep,
Vikings just got throttled.
yep.
You got the Rams who rested guys who have playoff experience
Hmm.
who already beat the Vikings. I just thought it might swing to the Rams a little bit, but they're saying Vikings are still favored by a point. We'll see. Obviously, you know where my heart is on this one. I don't know. It's a bad time to play bad. Darnold had his worst game of the year,
Yeah.
like probably hands down. I mean, I guess he wasn't great against the Jaguars, but he at least managed the game a little better. He looked like a,
Hmm.
I don't know, college quarterback or like a rookie, and he just hasn't done that all year. So we'll see. Um, if they bounce back, if the Vikings bounce back, or if they don't. But yeah, I mean, going to LA with Stafford and McVay and all the weapons they have, it's going to be a tough game. And that game's at seven
Yeah.
o'clock on Monday.
Monday night playoffs.
Monday football. Okay. Um, who are you picking in the
Yeah, I'm
Monday?
gonna go with the Vikings here. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think I'm looking at the Rams that closed the season, throughout the last game because they weren't trying to win it. They scored 12 points in a win, 19 points in a win, and 13 points in a win against the Niners, Jets, and Cardinals. None of those are good teams. Now, they did in early December beat the Bills, which is weird. It's a weird game to come out and drop 44 in a game that Allen almost, single-handedly won for the Bills. But yeah, just give me the Vikings here. I don't know.
I'm gonna pick the Rams for the reasons I kind
Only
of said.
set.
They've already
Yeah.
beat them once. They are healthy. The Vikings had
Mhm.
the Rams got to rest. I obviously hope the Vikings bounce back. I just don't know if it's going to happen. So let's go on. Let's complete the bracket now that we got all our picks for the first game. So give me a minute to just get this in order. So
Yeah.
you have the worst team you have winning would be the Vikings. So then the
Yep.
Vikings would face the Lions.
Yes.
And then the Eagles would host the Bucks. And then on my side, I would have, let's see, the Packers are the 7, so obviously they would go to the Lions. And then the Bucks would host the Rams because the Rams rested their starters. So that would be interesting if that's how it plays out. So I'll have you go first. So you would get the Chargers at the Chiefs.
I mean, give me the Chiefs.
The Chefs.
And give me the Chiefs, right?
Yeah, they played two pretty competitive games, these two teams in the regular season. I mean, like, I just don't think.
I mean, right now,
I think it's going to be close, but I just think the Chiefs.
They've looked pretty good. Now, could they be upset? Yeah, but no, I give me the Chiefs here.
And then we both have Ravens Bills. Man, I haven't thought about this one too much. It'd be in Buffalo. I'm gonna go Ravens just because of the matchup. Like I said, like the Bills can't stop like the run a lot of times, and like Derrick Henry, just the only thing I would say for the Bills in this game, obviously home field, and then
Josh Allen.
Yeah, like if it is close, maybe in the playoffs you trust Josh Allen a little bit more, but that's gonna be a tough matchup for the Bills.
Two great quarterbacks.
So I'm gonna go Ravens
on
that one.
I'm gonna take the Bills.
Bills.
I'm gonna take the Bills.
Okay, so then we would have well, let's move over to the NFC real quick. So Bucks Eagles at the Eagles.
You know what? Give me the Bucks. I just let's see Baker Mayfield make it to an NFC Championship game.
And then Vikings Lions, what would you have?
Give me the Lions there.
Lions, all right. So then on mine, I would have Packers Lions. I don't know. I don't think the Packers quite get it done in Detroit, so I'm gonna go Lions there, and then Rams at the Bucks. Whew, I'd actually go Rams, I think. Setting up a very interesting Stafford Goff.
Yes. What a game rich with storylines.
Yeah. Okay, so then that would be conference championships. So now we'll move back. So you would have Bills Chiefs.
I mean, I gotta go Chiefs. I don't know. Until I see somebody beat them that isn't Joe Burrow, and he's not even in the playoffs this year, I gotta go Chiefs.
And then Bucks Lions. That'd be interesting. The Bucks already beat him.
I already beat them when the defense was healthy. Oh man, I'm gonna go Lions. I'll pick with my heart.
All right. On my side, I would have Ravens, Chiefs. I gotta go Chiefs. I just don't think like until they prove it, I'm just gonna not expect it.
That's right.
Man, Rams, Lions. The Rams owe the Lions one. Although that would be tough for them to win that game.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, I think the Lions would get it done. I think it would just be a tough spot. You know, like they were saying pregame of the Vikings Lions game, like it was so loud, so much before the game. Like fans are just going nuts. Like it's such a tough place to play, I think. So I'm gonna go Lions. And then so you would have we both are ending up with Chiefs Lions. Oh, crazy. The 1 seed. That's good for you. And then
I wonder how often that happens. I don't know how often the one seeds actually make it like to the Super Bowl. If it's anything like
Yeah,
the NCAA
could
tournament.
look it up probably
Yeah.
fairly easily, but I'm not sure either. I want to say it's not that
Yeah.
like the one seed probably doesn't make it more than they do. But I don't know. So who are you picking? Chiefs, Lions.
I mean, I think I just gotta go. I'm gonna go Lions. Screw it. I'm gonna go Lions. Again, it's more of a heart pick than I think than anything else. I would love to see Detroit not just get to a Super Bowl, but win it, given just everything historically, how terrible they've, I mean, really one of the worst. Like if you're picking worst, it's like them or probably the Browns.
Well, the Vikings have never won a Super
But
Bowl,
they've
but
been
they've
to
been there.
four.
That's true.
They went to four in the 70s. That's Frank Tarkington.
You can still feel sorry for them,
I
even
mean,
though they've made it there.
I mean, they had the Purple People Eaters. They had like a all-time great defensive unit, all-time great QB. Like Detroit has never had that in the Super Bowl era.
Yeah. So
Yeah, I'll go
I'm
Lions.
gonna go Chiefs
Yeah,
to beat the
makes sense.
Lions. I just think like the Chiefs are a complete team and like they can kind of manage the game,
Mhm.
um, be clutch, like good coaching and just get it done. Like they've done it before, you know. Lions have never been to a Super Bowl, so
Hmm.
you know, I don't know that nerves would be an issue or not, but if there's any chance that they would be, obviously the Chiefs know how to navigate the whole week off and all the media attention and all that. So um, there you have it. I got the Chiefs winning it all, and he has the Lions. Now, next week, I'm sure there's going to be an upset or something that
Yep.
neither of us predicted.
Mhm.
So we'll go kind of round
Recap.
by round and
Yeah.
redo it as well, just to give you a little more content.
Hmm. Also, apparently, according to the quick search, since 1990, 50% of one seeds have made it to the Super Bowl. So that's 32 out of 64 since
Interesting.
1990.
Just real quick, don't be super surprised if the Chargers peel off a couple wins. Like I
Harbaugh.
said, their defense, coaching, and I think Herbert. I just feel like Herbert is a pretty clutch quarterback, even though he hasn't. I don't know how much he's been to the playoffs, but um, I wouldn't be surprised if they make a little run. And then who else? Obviously the Packers, um, just because of what they did last year in the playoffs. Um,
So what
and
does it
who
take for
else?
Harbaugh 2.0? Is it so the Chargers obviously they both need to win their first round games.
They
And
can't. They're both in the. Well, you
so
mean
the
I
in
mean
the
AFC
NFC
champ.
Championship, yeah. Well, Harbaugh just because they're both
Oh, right.
Harbaughs.
Um,
If they would they meet in the divisional round if they both win?
so if the Chargers win so the Chargers are the five, right? So if the
Yeah.
Chargers win and then either the Steelers or Broncos win, then the Chargers would probably play the Ravens if the Bills. So
Yeah.
if the Steelers somehow beat the no, never mind. The Ravens are out. I don't know. Could it happen?
Before the AFC Championship game? That's a fascinating question.
So if the Broncos win, they will play the Chiefs, and if the Chargers and Ravens, yeah, if the Chargers Ravens wins, they would
And
play the.
they would play each other if no, no. Because Kansas City would automatically play the lowest seed.
Which would be the Broncos if the Broncos
If
won.
the Broncos, that's right. Yes, sorry. If the Broncos won, that's correct. Yes.
I was just had in my head that the Broncos are not beating the Bills, but
No.
that's how it would happen. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And then
In the divisional
other than
round.
that, obviously, if
They both
you know,
win through to the division or the championship game.
right. And then I don't know the team that so there's kind of like trendy
Mhm.
upset picks or like trendy teams to kind of make a run. I don't. I think people are underestimating the Rams a little bit too much. Stafford's won a Super Bowl.
Mm,
McVay's won a Super Bowl. Like
he's been to two.
Cooper Cup hasn't played that well on offense, but like Puka, Cup, Kyron Williams,
Yeah.
like they can beat you in a lot of different ways on offense. The key is obviously their defense and how consistent they can be. I think, they're still fairly young, so can they put together 4 games? But like I don't know. I don't. There's teams in the playoffs that I'm saying absolutely no way are making a run, and the Rams are not one of those teams. Like I feel like they could, just because they've been there before. But I hate to say that because the Vikings have to play them. Let's do one other thing
Mm.
since we have a few minutes. So what a lot of what people are saying lately because of the whole Lions Vikings like the Vikings have 14 wins, right? And they're going on the road. So a lot of what people are saying is like, if you win your division, yeah, you should make the playoffs, but then they should reseed based on
Hmm.
just records. So if these games would be just based on records, now this might be tougher to do just off the top of my head than you'd think, but do the Vikings have the second most wins in the NFC, right?
Yes. Are they
So
tied for the to the Eagles? I think they both ended up 14-3.
Oh, the Eagles did have. Well, then we'd have to get into tiebreakers, so I don't know exactly what that would look
Maybe
like.
that's wrong.
Or the Eagles have
Yeah, they were both 14-3.
14-3, and then I think it was division record. I think the Eagles actually would get that tiebreaker. So let's try this quick. I don't know if this is going to work or not, but so you'd have the one, two, and three would be. So obviously the Lions wouldn't play the
Mhm.
first week. So Eagles would be two, Vikings would be three. Um, Packers would actually, right? The Packers, did they have 11 wins?
They did
So that's better
11
than
and 6.
did the Bucks have 11 wins?
No, the Bucks and Rams have both had 10.
So the Packers would host a
Playoff
game.
game, yeah.
So the Eagles would have gotten who is the worst team? The
Um,
Rams?
no, well, by
Commanders?
record, yes, would be the Rams.
So the Eagles would have hosted the Rams. The Vikings would have hosted the second worst, what,
That would
Commanders?
be the command. Well, no, by record, because we're forgetting Washington. Washington actually had a better record than the Packers. So the Washington would have been so by record, it would have gone Lions, Eagles, Vikings,
Vikings.
Commanders.
So the Eagles would have played the Rams. The
Yep.
Vikings as the three would have played the sixth, who would
The
be
Bucks probably.
Bucks. And then the Commanders would have hosted the
Packers.
Packers.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know that we'll play this all the way out, but you can see like the matchups are completely different.
Yeah, way different.
Um, I don't know. You could argue the Eagles playing either the Rams or the Packers is sort of a wash, but
Yeah.
Vikings would host the Buccaneers,
Yeah.
which obviously always want a home game.
Yeah.
And then, you know, round two, the Vikings would get another home game if they won.
Yeah.
And then if the Lions somehow lose in the divisional round, the Vikings would get another home game. Like
Yeah.
I just think you have to reward these teams for winning that many games. Like, who cares if you won a bad division? It shouldn't matter that much.
Yeah.
Sure, get them in, but
NFC South was awful.
yeah.
Like awful. I mean, yeah, I mean, these matchups are really intriguing. Rams, Eagles, Bucks, Vikings, Packers, Washington, really intriguing, really, really interesting. Um, I don't know. I mean, Bucks, Vikings, like who do you like in Bucks, Vikings? I
Uh,
definitely like the Packers
I
over
mean,
the
I don't know.
Washington.
I would think the Vikings could win a home game, but like
Yeah,
Baker, also, I've said before this year, he could beat anyone on
that's
any
right.
field.
That's right. Like he could have five
Um,
touchdowns. Well, I mean, he might also have five interceptions, but
10 total points. Mhm. Yeah. So
hmm,
I don't know. I think college football playoff and the NFL needs to seed the teams correctly.
yeah,
Just jumping to the college football playoff, I mean, the seeds 5 through 8 are the ones that are still alive because they were the best teams.
yeah.
Like you talk to most people who know what they're talking about, they would have told you that those were the best teams
Hmm.
before any of this happened. But you made those teams had to play an extra game. I don't know. It just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. We'll see. But at the same time, I mean, you can't really. break it. You can't like it's going to be good no matter what. So, and if you're good enough, you got to win 3 or 4 games anyway against the best teams.
Three.
So, and then the next, well, no, never mind. That would be stupid. I was going to say like if one conference is way better than the other, but
Oh.
you couldn't have like a lopsided, like that would
No, I
be
mean, I think.
the NFL would never think about that. But
No.
and I don't even know how you'd do that. But
Mm-mm.
all right, 6 games, and then next week we'll have 4 with the Chiefs and Lions getting in the mix.
Yes.
Another thing to watch is to see if Hutchinson and Montgomery can make it back too, because
Yeah.
both of them apparently have a chance to make it
I
back
heard
if they
about
make a run.
Montgomery. Yeah, he might be available for the divisional round. I heard. I didn't hear about
Oh, really?
Hutchinson. I thought so. That's what I heard, but I didn't hear Hutchinson maybe anything.
Yeah, I mean Gibbs had 4 touchdowns against the
He was
Vikings, but
so good.
they didn't you really they don't really use anyone else because if there's such a drop off, I don't know. Like if Montgomery can't come back, that's just a big workload for Gibbs, and I just don't see like them making it through. But we'll see. That's all I got for you today. Uh, can you
Indeed.
still say go Bears even though they're not still in it?
I mean, they're
They're still your team,
they
so
are, and they're trying to. I don't know. They're saying dumb stuff about how you build a team and fans, and they've got 15 million coaching candidates.
yeah,
I
better than
mean,
16 million
I
coaching
guess
candidates.
it's like what is like it's like you shit on them if they don't have enough, you shit on them if they have too much, and it's like, is that bad? No. There's like a right number. Like know like who you want. And they fired their coach 2 months ago. You haven't narrowed it down. You got to talk to 80 million people. You don't have like 4 or 5 people or 3 people. And what have you been doing for 2 months? What has Ryan Poles been doing? What have Kevin Warren been doing? Well, Kevin Warren's not getting a stadium built. That's what he's been doing. But like, what has Ryan Poles been doing? He hasn't been researching like head coaches. He's got to talk to 15 different people. It's like, oh, wait a minute. They don't know what they're doing. That's why. That's what's happening. History's going to repeat itself. We'll see the new coach and a new coach in 3 years,
Yeah,
and a new
so
GM in two.
if if you can't find a GM that can do things right, you have to at least find one that can understand when they're not doing things right
Correct themselves.
to change it. Yeah.
If they don't know, then we're doing it.
I don't know. Well, we'll see you next week. Go Vikings!
Go Bears.